Live from Fontana, welcome race fans one and all back to Sunday afternoon action here on Green Flag TV. We get set to see if we will see a champion being locked up several weeks early with the Pavement Recycling Systems Indy 400. It is round number 10 of the classic Indycar series here for the Auto Club Speedway. My name is Ola Rampel alongside Gary Godso. We bring you all of racing action from start to finish here this afternoon. Gary, it's a big day for the Classic IndyCar Series, a 400-mile, 200-lap marathon around this 2-mile defunct behemoth. And critically, today, we could very well be seeing a champion crowned, and Thomas Boosted has yet another fantastic afternoon.
Yeah, today is the last best dress rehearsal for the Indy 500 coming up here in a couple of weeks. But the story today, there's two stories, really. It's Ken Thomas not only clinched the championship, but can he win 5 in a row? And the number of times that an IndyCar driver in real life has won 5 in a row, there's been a number that's won 4 in a row. Al Unser Jr. has won 4 in a row. Alex Zanardi won 4 in a row. Cristiano D'Amata won 4 in a row. Sebastian Bourdais won 4 in a row. But the fraternity of winning 5 or more is extremely small, down to 2 drivers in the entire history of IndyCar racing. That's 100 years of IndyCar racing organized since the start of the last century. 7 wins for A.J. Foyt, 5 wins for Al Unser Sr. Those are the only 2 drivers to ever do that in real life. So, in a sim racing sense, how rare is it? Probably a little less rare when it comes to sim racing, but still a huge feat nevertheless.
A huge feat, and one that is going to be a tough order to beat. Already we've been seeing Moosin and putting down records, going for 2 back-to-back Grand Slams, which is a feat virtually unheard of in the IndyCar scene. Of course, he has been at it for a good long while. He has been a driver that has been one to beat throughout the course of the championship. And if I am looking at this correctly, Gary, he is the first driver in Classic IndyCar Series history to score 4 back-to-back wins in a row as well. Previous records have only been 3 in a row, with drivers like Joshua Chin being able to put down numbers such as that. But right now, he is, again, the lone driver to have ever won 4 wins in a row in the Classic IndyCar Series. He is looking set to extend that record here today, beating his prior record of 3 in a row from 2024, where he won at Montreal, he won at Road America, and he won at Fuji. This time, will it be 5 in a row? We'll see. He's got to get a second place this afternoon. If he scores second, that should be game over the championship. He would have likely a 100-point gap, plus gap, back to Cameron Dance and to race action today. The critical factor, Dance is here today. If Dance is a good day and Moosin crashes out, which he has done before this season, all of a sudden that championship goes down at least 1 more week.
Yeah, oval racing is completely different. And especially if on the track like this, which some degree of this race will be a pack race, one driver in front makes a little bit of mistake, a driver from behind gets a little too close, net code takes over, big wreck can occur. Thomas could be an innocent victim, so a lot could still happen today. And also when I say a lot can still happen is this is an extremely long race. This is our second longest race of the season outside of the Indy 500. 400 miles, 200 laps is a long time around this place. So anything and everything can possibly happen. And of course, this is La La Land where they do film movies. So maybe we don't see the scripted ending here. We see that here, maybe at Sebring, maybe at Indianapolis. But there's still a lot left of the script here to play, and we're going to see how it comes out here in about a minute or so when we start gritting up for this 400-miler.
Ideal track temperature conditions, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, pretty much picture perfect for racing action this afternoon. 73 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. The wind is going to be the big factor today. 13 miles an hour blowing off to the southwest.
Yeah, and the way that this track sits from the southwest, the portion of the start-finish line is the south side of the racetrack. So if the wind's going to the southwest, that means they're probably going to start impacting or getting impacted in turns 3 and 4. So that's where we would expect them to start moving up the racetrack with 13-mile-per-hour wind hitting the side of these cars. And these are pretty boxy cars. So they're going to catch a lot of that wind to start pushing them up the racetrack. And not only are they going to be fighting that wind, but then, of course, the ever always present aero wash that they get from the car in front of them.
Well, all this is going to take us to the end of the warm-up session here this afternoon, so it's time to see who's going to be starting where when racing action kicks off once again here for the Pavement Recycling Systems Indy 400 at the Auto Club Speedway. Start of this race from pole position, it's going to be Ethan Hagen, the Team Watson Racing number 20 will start on pole position with a 33.489. Just 6,000 of a second off of him is Johnny Garrett. Road to the grid, it's Matthias Strauss. He starts alongside Thomas Mustonen, looking to go for a championship here this afternoon. From there, Logan Simmons is in fifth. Sebastian Kinder is back in sixth. You've got, of course, Zachary Wareham in seventh, Jimmy Wilson in eighth, and then closing out the top 10 here today, it's going to be Andrea Giacometti and Cameron Dance.
And as we go back into the second portion of this grid, and again, it's not really the speed that they qualified at, it's whether or not they could stay in the draft and move themselves up, kind of hand it off from one car to the next car and kind of move up the field. But we got Grosser and Stum in row 6, Hoffman and Barkenau in row 7, and again, these are speeds of the pole speeds were right around 215. So these speeds back here a little bit slower at 213, but again, it doesn't matter. It's just really how long you could stay in the draft. Shoemaker and Mellis in row 8, also in the 213 bracket. Then back in row 9, we got Stanley and Rodriguez. Then we have Andrew Wood and Santos. Santos opted not to qualify with any, I don't know, he might have had a penalty that I'm not aware of, but he's back in row 10 with no speed. Andrew Wood, a very pedestrian 207 back in row 10, so pretty confident that he has a setup that he can move up into this field. And then rounding out the remainder of this field, and that's it actually. Steven Mellis would be the, Lucas Santos would be the last car for this 20-car field. So not a huge field. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more here for a 400-miler, but really back when the IndyCar series used to run here, not many more than 20 cars really was in the starting lineup. So we're kind of watching something kind of authentic.
Well, for now, 20 cars are rolling on now. As you see them lining up behind the iRacing pace car, just about ready to rumble here this afternoon. And racing action should be very much a fantastic afternoon of racing as we are set to have a good, promising night here. Lots of green flag racing, hopefully in the near future. The field going to work their way to turn number 3 and 4. What do you think, Gary? Any favorites to win this race here today?
I'm just going to go with the easy one. I want to see Thomas get this number 5 and clinch the championship. Let's do it in fantastic fashion.
Well, we're going to work their way through turn numbers 3 and 4. We're happy you're joining us for racing action here on this fantastic Sunday afternoon. It's time to get the party started as they'll work their way in towards the restart zone of the front straightaway. Time to see if Thomas Mustonen walks away a champion. It's go, go, go in Auto Club.
Big jump by Hagen. Not a lot of wheel spin for the starters here, so getting back used to restarting on ovals. All the Vortex cars kind of in a line with their pink breast cancer awareness schemes. But back there. Big lead. Now he's starting to be joined by some rear gunners. He's going to have Strauss and Logan Simmons teammates joining him. And that's going to put 3 cars at the front for Team Watson Racing.
The momentum steadily building as they fire in at well above 200 miles an hour into turn number 1. Johnny Garrett caught on the outside line with no help, trying to see if he can fight his way back to the front. They're going to go look for 3 wide down the back straight, but they quickly get it back down to double. You got TWRS teammates trying to make it a 1, 2, 3 podium lockout early on, but Garrett looking to take it, throw it up top, and of course, Mustonen looking for 5 in a row. Is charged with this. He is still running inside the top 5.
A.J. Foyt won 7 in a row back in 1964. He won at Phoenix, Trenton, got his second Indy 500 win, won at Milwaukee, Langhorne, Trenton, Springfield, Illinois, won 9 of 10 of the first 10 races of that season, won 10 of 13. So when you're talking about seasons of domination, kind of like Wistonen's been having, you go back in the IndyCar history, look for no further than 1964 with A.J. Foyt. Different time, though, different cars. Kind of a combination of paved ovals and dirt ovals at the time. Al Sr. won 5 straight in 68. Nazareth, 2 races at Indianapolis Raceway Park on the road course and 2 races at Langhorne. So he won 5 races, or 5 straight races at 3 racetracks. Look at all the bumps down the backstretch.
Yeah, those undulating bumps are going to be a big worry for several drivers, right? Especially if you're trying to make a move right in the midst of this. Thankfully, they got all that downforce on those slick back wings to try and help these guys keep control of the race cars. Of course, remember, these cars running the oval aero packages today, so not the road course aero packages like we see on some of the smaller ovals like the Nashville Super Speedway or the Phoenix Raceway. These are the high-speed ovals, so a lot less downforce on these cars than we normally see, but still just enough to keep them planted on the racetrack.
Yeah, so smaller front wings, and that's what they have here. The back wing is still pretty big, but it's laid back as far as it can go, so minimize the draft there. What they don't do in the sim, and I don't think they can do it in the sim, but they did do in real life, is that if you watch some of the IRL era races here, so in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, 2003, the cars typically looked like they were kind of raked, and they were raked. The back ends would be jacked down, the front ends would be jacked up, and what they were trying to do is get that rear wing out of the air. And they would the cars would look kind of odd on some of these big super speedways, but it would do the trick.
Still got pretty much the entire field packed up line astern from nose to tail. The only driver is really not in this battle pack. I mean, even here you got some loose drivers down towards the tail end of the field. Right now, the biggest gap between Rafael Rodriguez and Robert Grosser, I do believe Rodriguez effectively lost the draft. He'll link up with Robert Barnicow. And, of course, Zachary Wareham started his race from pit road, so the Canadian going to have to work his way up to the front of this race the hard way. Meanwhile, up front, round the outside of Ethan Aiken, going to go his teammate Logan Simmons to secure the second-place spot. And that lets Jimmy Wilson build up a lead of about a quarter of a second.
And Jamie's fought to the front. Logan and Ethan teammates. They had to time that, otherwise they would lose more time to the leaders. Now back in line. Simmons will start pulling his car very closely now to the back end of back end of Wilson, and he'll be there at the end of this backstretch. Look at the washboard bumps down the backstretch. They're just bouncing up and down. These cars do not like to bounce. They do not. It disrupts them very much so. And back, in fact, you go watch the old IndyCar races here. When the cars were laden with fuel, they would often spark a lot into the corners and down the backstretch here. So not seeing that here right now, but the fireworks back in the old days here. Oh, big run here on the outside. Logan, I don't think he expected to get that big run.
He took a bit of an arcing line, dived it off the corner, and pulled around the outside of Jamie Wilson for Powerslide Team Chimera, but Jamie Wilson going to continue to fight this one out, so the catalyst is not done yet as he keeps fighting this one out here with Logan Simmons. Fighting their way out of turn 4 down the front straightaway. Not a lot of drivers look like they're trying to help out Logan Simmons here. Everyone is lining up top.
Yeah, and actually the draft train is actually benefiting Logan Simmons a little bit because they all went top. Jamie stayed low. Now Jamie's burning the most fuel, and actually when Logan was staying up top there, even though he had a slight aero push from behind, he was burning a little bit of extra fuel as well. Right now, Ethan is actually saving the most fuel in this draft train, right behind these 2 leaders, and everyone behind Ethan.
Simmons again making an attempt at the lead there in 3 and 4. Didn't quite have it though. He'll try again. Headed down to the turn 1 this time by. So Logan Simmons continuing to work at it. Ethan Aiken right behind it. Here we go. Another move for the lead up top. And could Logan Simmons have it secured? This time by coming down to the turn number 3. Not quite. Jamie Wilson still fighting this one out down low.
Yeah, Jamie's just holding on to the old, what we call the IRL line when the Indy Racing League used to run here. You just glue your car to that white line at the bottom and never leave it. And in most cases, you should be able to hold on to that lead. And conditions really aren't calling for high tire degradation. So again, that bottom line is really going to be the best line unless Logan or Ethan or Thomas can get on the outside of Jamie. And now they're getting a run on him on the outside here. Here's Jamie's going to pull even again in 3 and 4. But they can force Jamie down to turn that wheel a little bit and generate a little bit of extra artificial tire heat. And then Jamie can't stay down there as long as he wants to.
This whole This big draft pack here, we are seeing this effectively turn into a very similar situation as what we're used to seeing at cases like Indianapolis Motor Speedway, or even in stock car racing, right? Like the Super Speedways that we saw last night with the SRA Gen 4 Series at Talladega.
Yeah, pack racing, the pack racing era of IndyCar is over for the most part. It kind of ended with that 2015 MAV TV race that was here. But basically, there was a really good era.
And looking for the inside now is going to be Marshall Stanley, trying to dive down the inside of Talladega. Wants to go one more position here. Jamie Wilson still at risk of losing the lead, but now he's got some drafting help with Marshall Stanley to maybe give him a little bit of arrow push down to the inside line. But right now, a lot of drivers favoring the top shelf. What do you make of this one? Boy. Stanley cutting through the field, now up 16 spots, and he officially takes the lead of the race, chops down, and he clears Jamie Wilson. So Marshall Stanley is wanting the rumble here as he powers to the front from 17th on the grid in as many laps. It's only going to take one mistake for this to create a massive crash that takes out half the field as well, right? So drivers, I think, are kind of acting a little bit timidly right now, if that makes any sense. They're not wanting to make too many big moves because, you got to remember, the racing here is effectively more intense than what you get at the Indy 500. I mean, yeah, the Indy 500, it's Indianapolis, right? But here, the corners are so wide and so sweeping that you can't break away from cars that you can at Indy. I didn't say it could clear down to the bottom side. This lane is my domain, says the Catalyst, as Marshall Stanley will finally get down to the inside here in 3 and 4. Pretty much immediately, you see how much Wilson checked up there mid-corner as a result of all that dirty air, but he's going to tuck into the draft, try to pull up alongside Jamie Wilson, and, well, we'll see. How much do you think these guys are running full throttle down the straights, and how much do you reckon they're just lifting out and trying to save some fuel? This field going to continue to battle it out. This is the look on Wood Losing. You can see those undulations headed down to the turn number 3 and lifts a little bit there in turn 3. That's fine. Now the question is, does he go full throttle here on the straights? No, he is lifting a little bit, so he's trying to save some fuel. And problems, Jamie Wilson has fought and crashed hard to the inside wall. And a disaster for the driver that started in the front of the field. That car is demolished. We didn't even see him leave the shot. What the heck happened? Oh dear, just got the air taken off of him and boom! A hellacious hit into the inside wall. shot into the inside wall, likely still going well over 180 miles an hour when that car slammed into the inside safer barrier. And that's also why there's safer barriers all along the inside of this racetrack as well, right? I mean, not until the late 2010s did racetracks really start to put sabers on the inside line. But heck, look at the opening in the middle of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway's back straightaway, right? Not only is there a safer barrier, there's a whole tire wall in there as well because of the amount of cars kept going in there. Yes. And that's currently one of the big complaints with Tech Pro barriers, right? I mean, yeah, they deform super well and do a good job absorbing energy, but because the car can slip under them so easily, especially the open wheel machinery, it can make it that much harder to extricate a driver in the event of an accident. That's probably why we only see them present on road courses, not on ovals yet. Marshall Stanley is, oh, hold on, look out, as we just saw one of the TWRS cars catch the wall. No, it was Logan Simmons that went hard to the outside wall there, dinged off the fence. It looks like he managed to more or less catch it. So surprisingly, he didn't really lose much ground, but that's not the thing you want to be tempting fate with more than once. Take a ride on board Simmons and see what happens. That's the lap before. This will be the lap of. Well, they headed down to the turn number 1 this time by. Suddenly happened to just shoot this car up into the outside wall. I don't know what. I think he just lost focus for a second. Well, back to live pictures. There's still double file all the way down the straightaways as Matthias Strauss fighting for the inside of Sebastian Kinder. And now the cars in front of them started to build up a bit of a momentum run as well and pull away now that they've gotten single file. And I'm curious if they get single file, if they can run down Marshall Stanley, because he is still within drafting distance, 7/10 of a second up the road. Well, they went 3 wide. Oh, there it is! Jan Hoppen spins hard into the outside wall. Holy cow! Cameron dances upside down, tumbling down into turn number 1. Franz Josef Stum slammed into the catch fence, and I think that spells an end to the championship battle. Oh my gosh. That was one of the most violent crashes I've ever seen at this racetrack. Cameron Dance getting a bit too greedy, I think. Had the nose in there, but it was too little, too late. Spins him around, clips Dance, spins him up the racetrack. Nowhere for Stum to go. Oh my gosh. And look at Franz Josef Stum go flying into the catch fence. Nose cone first. A terrifying airborne crash that sees 3 cars done for the day as a result of that mess. Jeez. Right on board with Franz Josef Stum, who is arriving on scene, and just nothing he could have done to possibly avoid this as he gets catapulted into the fence. And that's all she wrote for Franz Josef Stum. This was Cameron Dance. And what he saw. Ay, ay, ay. Pretty much everybody came down pit road, 4 tires and fuel, no surprise there, right? You're 30 laps in, you may as well go for it. But an absolutely monster crash over there in turn number 1. And yeah. Well, and watch. And watch here as Cameron dancing to go around. Franz Josef comes flying in and hops over the left front. That catapults the Aero X car up, almost cockpit first, into the catch fencing. Cameron Dance goes for a barrel roll. Somehow Stum actually didn't go all the way over. He remained, he went onto his side, but he didn't go fully upside down. Cameron Dance, I'm shocked, didn't go barrel rolling down the straightaway into turn 1. And eventually he's going to take a rough ride back over onto his wheels. Well, and I have a big feeling here, like the only reason why Cameron Dance didn't also go into the catch fence there is because Franz Josef Stum launched over him, shoved him back onto the ground. Jeez. Right now, Thomas Bustinen still standing well above the boards. Cameron Dance was going to be his main title fight. And while Ethan Hagen does technically close in here right to 76 points, he's got more drop weeks to worry about than Bustinen does. They're going to all bunch up on the outside line, and Ethan Hagen will be the one to lead this field back to the green flag. Into the Geico restart zone. Green flags up in the air. Oh, Andrew Wood got a little bit of movement going there. Whoa, one of the Vortex cars. Oh, but we got more going around. Gio Cometti spins around. Caution comes out immediately. He's going to spin down to the inside. That might be a day over for North Sim Racing number 38. Oh, yeah, that's going to be done. Look at that right rear wheel there. Look at how far askew that is. Right, left wheel, sorry. Oh, boy. Right aboard Robert Groscher was right behind Stephen Mellis. Had a front row seat to the melee. Oh boy, he may have caught Mellis there just a touch, but I think he got away with it. Randy Shoebank took a bit of a ride as he got kicked up into the air as well. I think that'll be it. Yeah, that'll do it. And I think part of the problem there was that Marshall Stanley, he tried to power through it. He really should have just lifted off and give the car an opportunity to save him. When he tried to power through, it just exacerbated the problem.
Which that's where the wheel spin typically occurs. And most people are used to just doing the first gear restart. And sometimes on the first gear restart, remember when I did it, it was kind of, pump, 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 go, as you try to just, bring that car up to speed. And it's not the most effective way, because in a DW12 or the IR18, it's just smash and go, and you're on it. You don't necessarily have the wheel spin. Sometimes you do, but not in all cases. Here you always have the wheel spin. Or restart in second gear. But the restart in second gear is a more bogged down restart, and it takes longer, and you have a chance of losing the draft. So it's a damned if you do, and maybe damned if you don't on a restart with these cars. Do you want to go first gear, or do you want to go second gear?
Well, what this is going to do, that effect, we have all of a sudden, in the span of about 5 laps, lost almost half the field. We are down to just 13 cars on the racetrack now. That will turn into 14. Shoebank has actually gotten his car fixed, and he's going to get back onto the racetrack critically without losing a lap.
Now, hopefully it still tracks right, so we'll watch him here.
You see, he's being very ginger out of pit road, wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I would be too. I would be too.
Standing, making his way back out. Giacometti has gotten the right. I'm actually shocked that he's making his way back out there. I thought that with that right rear suspension damage, he was going to be done, but no, he's actually gotten back out there. The real concern is that rear wing. Look at how bent up that is and out of shape. There's no symmetry in there.
Yeah, and what does the underbody look like too? That's the unseen damage. I'm riding with Shoemake right now. He's at full song, coming down the front stretch, getting ready to rejoin the back of the field. He looks pretty stable.
Same story for Marshall Stanley, who's looking just fine. Giacometti's looking fine as well, although, again, he is kind of taking it a bit tenderly. I think Giacometti's going to be fine in clean air. He's going to have to worry a lot, though, about what happens in the dirty air here.
Yeah, his race now is, the strategy is, it's a drive to survive. It's can I get to the end? He's not going to, he's going to be down on speed the whole time. And he's probably not going to finish on the lead lap. But, if he can still finish with this amount of damage, it will be quite a feat indeed.
Well, all of this is going to take Ethan Hagen around to the back straightaway and back into turn numbers 3 and 4. So Hagen Wood going to be 1-2, and again, the wheel spin going to be a big factor. At least this time, two of the main drivers at least that initiated the last wheel spin incident, they're going to be at the tail of the field.
And it's Zachary Wareham in that white and yellow car. He is now up in the 10th. He started from pit road.
Coming down to it, green flag back in the air. Do we survive this restart? Looking like we're going to get out of this one just fine, although a lot of separation back here. Stefan Mills and Matthias Strauss likely hanging back just to be on the safe side, and I don't blame him given how the last restart went, but that has created effectively two different drafted battle packs. You got first to sixth, and then everybody else.
I'm going to go 3 wide here, watching that battle with Wareham, Santos, and Mellis.
Lucas Santos was initially not to be here today. Hold on! Oh my word, guys, calm down. You're not even a quarter of the way into this one, but Santos was not slated to be here today, so a pleasant surprise to see him back out on the racetrack. Sports. Rob Barnacow just caught the wall coming out of turn 2. We got a fight for the lead on our hands.
Andrew Wood feeling very racy. He feels like he is owed a little bit with his close finishes on the ovals the last couple of times that we've been on these. But he also had himself a pretty good week in IndyCar competition leading up to today. He qualified in the Fast 12 for the Elite Racing League's 15th running of their Indy 500 coming up next week. So getting a good start and one of the community's more prestigious Indy 500s next Thursday here for Andrew Wood, the Catalyst, looking to get a good start to his week right here in Fontana in the R05s.
You saw drivers looking for 3 wide again towards the tail of the field. Bit of a pack of 4 starting to develop here, right? You got Wood, Egan, Musen, and Kinder all within 2/10 of a second of each other. Johnny Garrett kind of loosely tagged onto the back, and then all the way back to Matthias Strauss for the 5th place in this little battle pack here. So again, top 5 pretty much bunched up together, and then it's everyone else all the way down. But right now, Andrew Wood's going to clear down to the inside. So Andrew Wood secures that first place spot. Ethan Egan will maintain 2nd place. Mustonen back in 3rd, and Kinder still running in 4th. Strauss tagging on to the rear of this group.
Now Andrew might actually have Jamie on running data for him now and spotting for him. So a human spotter is always better than the computer spotter, as we've seen earlier in this race, and he might have been able to call him clear on that one, and he just slid on down as they are bouncing all over the backstretch. Andrew down low going into 3 and 4. Egan, Mustanen, Kinder, and now we got a 2nd group behind Strauss, being led by Wareham again. And he's kind of in that yellow and white Marlboro-looking livery, but yellow and white. Oh, yeah. And we got teammates in there, and I would think the teammates might want to work a little bit better together.
Well, what this really does, this is critical information for Marshall Stanley, right? This is critical because he needs to find out how damaged is the car after that smack to the wall. Have they fixed all the damage? And honestly, it looks like his picker did a fantastic job at patching that car up to look as though it was fresh off the factory floor.
I think his back wing is messed up.
I don't
actually
think
no. That is.
No.
I'm looking at since we're dealing with multiple pink cars. Hoffman has the messed up rear wing.
Yeah, Jan Hoffman's really not looking too hot there. But, I mean, he's still doing a good job on holding the station with these guys. Robert Grosser trying to power to the inside of Lucas Santos. And once again, we see Marshall Stanley trying to lead the 2nd pack, fighting for 7th to the inside of Matthias Strauss. And he is going to just slip on through. And now a car that slammed the wall just about 10 laps ago leads the 2nd grouping. I don't think that they're going to be able to catch them to the front runners without they keep fighting back and forth, though.
Yeah, they have about 2 seconds they need to reel in the lead pack now. The gap to that 2nd group is now almost 3 seconds, actually. 2.8 seconds back from Strauss to Stanley.
Well, for the time being, these guys will remain single file up here, as well as the pack of 6. That currently leads the way as we're doing a stellar job on continuing to pull clear. And once again, for those tuning in right now, we are looking at potential history-setting records for Thomas Mustonen. Last race out, he became the first ever driver in Classic IndyCar Series history to go out here and take 4 wins in a row. He is looking for 5, which we don't believe was a record that anybody has been able to hit in IndyCar history, if I'm correct on this one.
No, we had 2 drivers in IndyCar history that have won 5 or more. The fraternity is very, very, very small. It's A.J. Foyt won 7 straight in 64, including his second Indy 500. And Al Sr. won 5 straight in 68, but he won 5 straight at 3 different tracks because they had 2 races at IRP and 2 races at Langhorne, but still 5 official wins in a row. And that's it. That is, out of all the drivers in the entire 100-plus year history of IndyCar racing, only 2 drivers have ever won 5 or more races in a row.
The wins for Moosonen, 2 of them come on ovals at the Kentucky Speedway, the Chicagoland Speedway on August 17th and the 30th. The other 2 coming back-to-back Grand Slams at Mid-Ohio and Long Beach, where he was fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, led every single lap, took the fastest lap, and won the race. It was a double Grand Slam, not something that is pretty much unheard of in the IndyCar community. So the fact that he is looking for 5 and a win, with 2 Grand Slams being in those 5, I mean, I don't know if that gets to a much more dominant streak than that.
This is Pelot level. That's a new phrase started this year. Pelot level dominance. Fumastanen, and right now he's using a Pelot-like strategy of just hanging out at the front. He doesn't have to do anything, and it's just coming to him naturally. He's not pushing the issue. He's saving some fuel. He's not getting the car into trouble. He's just doing what he needs to do to bring the car home and secure the championship. Very Ganassi-like, very Pelot-like.
Ethan Hagen trying to go for the race lead. Andrew Wood up top, the catalyst, trying to see if he's got an answer for Ethan Hagen down low. Thomas Moosonen trying to cut through that inside line as well, and cut through he will. Moosonen up to second. Kinder trying to look for third. An attack from Andrew Wood turns into rapid defense. Nobody went up to help him. And now, only one car stands between Moosonen and the race lead.
Again, Wood's a heady driver, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he's slow. It's possible that he's like, okay, I know with my setup I can get to the front pretty easily, but I'm burning an awful lot of fuel up here. And remember, the first thing every IndyCar driver thinks when the race starts is not, if I'm going to get to the finish or not. It's just how much fuel I can save. How much fuel can I economize through my entire race, and to make that final stop or the final couple of stops just that much quicker than everyone else and gain that track position. And it's possible Wood just thought, I led, I can get up there, no problem. I'm just going to tuck in behind, save some fuel, and when it's time to race, I know my car could do it.
A quarter of the way through, we are 51 laps deep. Make that now 52. 149 laps to go. The Paper Recycling Systems Indy 400, and still a long way to go. Logan Simmons, we look to him as he tries to close up to the back of Marshall Stanley. He's going to look for the outside line. That goes nowhere. Will he look for the inside in turn numbers 3 and 4 this time through? Trying to, he's making a pig, but he's not committing to it.
Yeah, and that gap is closed. So after Wood back to Strauss is about 1.4 seconds. After Garrett back to Stanley's now 1.2. So they have closed that gap just by staying in line and being patient and allowing the cars to arrow work their way forward with speed naturally.
Problems for Andrea Giacometti as he has gone around. We'll look at that in just a moment. For now, we got a bit of a fight here starting to develop here between Logan Simmons and Marshall Stanley as they cruise into turn numbers 3 and 4. Stanley able to keep up a run here from Simmons, but Simmons up to the top side, near contact between the two on the front straightaway.
Yeah, those Vortex guys just need to stay in line, and I'm not sure why they're kind of all over the place right now. They just need to stay in line. Went back and watched Giacometti's incident, and it's just kind of getting loose off of 2, and I'm sure the messed up rear wing played a big role in that, and he might just be glad that the day is done at this point.
Well, Stanley up to the top side of the racetrack. He's going to drop back to the field here. Robert Groscher nearly gets tagged from behind by his own teammate, Jan Hoffman, who nearly got his nose in there. So Hoffman's got to be careful here, right? Rule number 1, don't take out your teammate. And Simmons going to continue to drop to the rear. Let's look at what happened here to Andrea Giacometti, which puts him out of the race.
just kind of comes off the quarter, and I'm sure that rear wing was not playing a role, or was playing a role, just not the role it needed to play to keep that back end of the car down. And maybe the next lap it happens, but he gets loose off the corner, so the front was being more efficient than the rear, and right around it comes there.
Oh, there you see it started to go around on him, and the rear wing damage and spins. Admitted this time a much more gentle impact into the wall, but it's enough to knock the rear wing, and that will put him down and out of this race. Unfortunate news for Giacometti, as he will become our 5th official retiree of the day, joining the likes of Dance, Stum, Wilson, and Rodriguez.
We still have 15 cars out there battling on the lead lap, though.
Critically, the championship situation, remember, Thomas Buchanan effectively needs to score second or higher today. If he does that, he will have won this championship, and that is even with Cameron Dance getting relatively good points. With Cameron Dance being involved in a monster crash in turn 1 back around lap 30, that championship fight effectively over. Buchanan just got to bring this one home.
Yeah, just bring it home. Just finish. But look where he is. Look where he is right now. He's in 2nd spot. And he's beginning to look a little racy. He's going down the front straight that time. His car looked a little happy. So maybe he was trying to find a better lane or a better approach. But he almost looks like he wants the lead now. And maybe the killer instinct is starting to come out a little early here.
Yeah, possibly, and now we see Johnny Garrett slide back to the field. And I'll tell you what, Giacometti is nothing if not persistent. He has returned to the racetrack, wanted to try to score some points.
That is a determined beard right there.
That is a beard of authority. You don't mess with that beard. You gonna argue with that beard? I'm not arguing with the Kratos beard. Are you arguing with the Kratos beard? If he says he wants to whip this track into shape, he's going to do it.
The track will probably straighten itself out.
We're going to turn into like, what, a 2-mile drag?
You know, it's a shame we talk about this track. It no longer is in existence, but the CART IRL and the Indycar Series visited the Auto Club Speedway, the former California Speedway, 14 times between 97 and 2015. All but 4 of those were 500-mile events. The IndyCar and World Closed Course speed record was set here in 2000. So if you take a graph and you overlay speed and technology...
Oh, boy! Hold on. Sorry to cut you off. Robert Grosjean with a massive twitch coming into turn number 3 that time by right as we cut on board. And Grosjean's day nearly going up in smoke. Take another look back at this one. And
yeah, let's watch this. He needs to
oh boy,
calm down and just stay in line. But death twitch right here.
This very easily could have shot him into the outside wall at over 200 miles an hour. Look at the wheel work there. I mean, 1 degree too far, and that car is pointed the wrong way and probably upside down to the fence.
Yeah, big death twitch, and he caught it. Great piece of driving there. And again, now he's beginning to know what these tires are like at 29 laps into a stint. And he's probably taking note and like, okay, can't do that 30 laps into a stint now.
Yeah, I thought for a moment he may have just had a disconnect from the session altogether. But again, still looking to run this one out pretty consistently. We are now effectively even with one of our longest green flag runs of the night, which of course was the opening bell of the day. A long way to go, right? I mean, we still got well over 200 miles left in this one.
Yeah. We not even to the halfway point. So let's and I think the top 4 are doing what they need to do. Just again, staying in line, not even racing. I mean, these are the out of these big marathon races. So 400-mile pluses are the marathon races. You have those dog day laps in the middle of the race. So you have the early laps where everyone kind of gets into the rhythm. You get a couple pit stops underneath your belt now, and now you just need to start clicking off these laps just so you can start setting up these individual pit stops. Because now we're looking at a race that's going to feature 5 stops or so. So you just need to make sure that those are 5 opportunities you have to really give the race away. And you need to just make sure to hit pit road, not speed those 5 times, hit your marks every single time on those 5 times, and then not speed coming off pit road all those 5 times. So much can go wrong during those pit stops. So the last thing you want to do is in between those pit stops is to make a mistake on the racetrack that's going to cost you even more.
Especially for a guy like Thomas Moosen, right, who's got a potential here to walk away with a championship here at the end of the day. And correct me if I'm wrong, would this be Moosen's first Classic IndyCar Series championship?
I think so.
So look, become yet another first-time champion here. Logan Simmons at risk of dropping back to the field as, well, you saw for a moment there Jan Hoffman go at it, and well, now he's got Logan Simmons. Sorry, make that Robert Grosser trying to attack to his inside, although no dice that time through on the back straightaway. So right now, Jan Hoffman continuing to just keep us on looking forward. I mean, that is a battered race car. The fact that that car has got as much pace as it does is frankly impressive. And critically, that second pack was really in your leaders.
Yeah, it is reeling them in. Now it is right at a second from Wood back to Stanley. And the only reason that Hoffman is staying with that pack is he's staying in the draft. He knows he can't leave the draft. If he leaves the draft, that pack leaves him. So he absolutely 100% got to stay in that draft. And that is, the draft is the great equalizer.
And you see it right here, right? Stanley and Co., they've been really in about, a tenth and a half to 2/10 of a second every lap for the last little while. So, and they're continuing to close right there in striking distance. This is about to become a 10-car battle for the race lead here.
It is. And look at Wood. Wood's moved up a lane on the outside to kind of pull even a little bit and pull that draft envelope forward so the cars behind can't really try to use Wood to pull themselves up. So he's actually trying to break the draft. He sees them coming.
Unfortunately, Sebastian Kinder is going to be the one that ends with his spot. And with them being side by side for this long, this has done nothing but drag the top 4 back. It was an attempt, right, but it relies on Kinder working with them, and Kinder didn't get the memo. So that's going to make this now a big battle for the lead. These packs have been separated ever since the restart, right, because Stefan Mellis was very ginger off the line. But for the first time since that restart, we're going to have the whole leading pack completely reformed once more.
The notes we have on the race, I think we're looking at 39 to 44 laps for a stint, and we are right in that window right now. 39 to 44, and we're approaching lap 37 of this stint. So pit stops very shortly, and I would suspect Ethan is going to be one of the first to come. That pack has caught him, by the way. There's Marshall Stanley. He's right there on the back end of Strauss.
Boy, Kinder really forced the hole there between Stanley and Wood, but that's not going to do much for him because now Marshall Stanley says, well, if I can't go high, I'll just go down low then. As he cuts to the inside, picks off the spot. Now Sebastian Kinder, the driver that bridged the gap, and Zachary Wareham has actually dropped off from that leading group, and he's going to be in a world of hurt now because he's going to have to hope for a caution flag to get him back into sync with everybody else. He's in the same boat as drivers like Garrett, Barnikel, Shoemake, Santos. They don't have a chance on getting up here. They just got to hope that these guys have some problems, and they might have some here at turn 3.
Check something here real quick and see what Zach has for starts in the league. He's got 1 career start. So this is his 2nd career start today.
And I do believe that first start comes from last year's Indianapolis 500.
So maybe he's using this as a bit of a warm-up for Indy, but I mean, he's in 10th spot right now. So he started from pit road, so he put himself in a position to get a good top 10. And we're not even to the halfway point in this race. So again, another approach to drive to survive here for Zach to maybe work his way up in the top 10. So falling off from this lead back might not be a bad thing, especially if they get into racing. He might get back up into it. Also, they might just all collect each other. And we've warned about that, and they're already starting to stack up.
Oh, here we go as they make contact. They're coming down to the turn 1. Marshall Stanley took his first career win in Classic IndyCar Series competition earlier this year, and he's trying to go for number 2, and he nearly threw it away as he dings off the wheels of Ethan Hagen.
Gotta be smart now. We're not even to the halfway point.
Trying to make a move here as we're double file like it's a high-speed pace lap as Ethan Hagen down to the inside, Stanley on the outside, Wood and Moostonen in there as well. Kinder might look to go double file with Strauss here. Strauss can carry much more momentum. Stanley round the outside, and Marshall Stanley to the lead on the back straightaway.
I know when I ask you with pit stops pending, what lane do you not want to be in right now at the moment?
Outside.
Those guys, if they need to come to pit road soon, they got to start thinking about putting their car in a position where they can get to pit road easier, or maybe hope that those cars to the inside dive off. And if not, they miss pit road and they need fuel. It's a long coast around here at 2 miles.
Well, Marshall Stanley continuing to make a run as... Oh, hold on! Up top, deep to the outside wall goes Logan Simmons.
Full send.
Tell you what, he managed to gather it up just fine. He hasn't damaged the car much, so he saved it. But once again, I mean, that's fire you don't want to be playing with in an IndyCar.
Kissing the wall is not something you want to do too much.
Approaching the halfway point in 26 laps here as Andrew Wood looking to go around the outside of Ethan Hagen for the number 2 spot. They are starting to close up to lap traffic as well, just up the road. That is no, it's Andrea Giacometti.
Giacometti, yeah.
In the number 38 car, and Giacometti's been lapping several seconds a lap slower than these guys. Mellis is up against the inside wall.
Yeah, Giacometti 1.5 seconds ahead of him now, 1.4. It's just kind of hemorrhaging time right now. So he either wants to dive to the inside down the backstretch and just let everyone on by, or he just needs to hold his line and be very, very predictable as this angry bunch of bees is going to come buzzing around him here in the next lap or so.
What in the world? Oh, my goodness. That looks like a hardware failure, like a screen went black or something. Gus was driving fine, then he just started to slow and out of nowhere took a sharp left-hand turn into the inside wall.
Yeah, that's probably a hardware, maybe a DC on the wheel or VR, and he just knows that he needs to turn to the inside as the safest place to be. Yeah,
well, they got it off the racetrack.
That's a mechanical.
No caution will stay green.
Yeah, it's good on him.
Well, these guys going to keep up the fight here, and if you're just tuning in, welcome on board to the Paper Recycling Systems Indy 400. Pit stops officially underway. Hoffman is in, so is Strauss and Simmons.
Teammates on pit road. Same time. So they're going to help each other, provided they don't get any penalties, and I don't see any flags yet, at least for speeding coming to their stalls. Now they need to really worry about hitting their marks and slowing these cars down to the pit road speed limit, which is 55, I think, here. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then stopping your car on the marks is also an entirely different exercise. The brake rotors on these cars and the calipers on these cars for oval racing is different than what they would use for road course racing. It's not meant to stop the car. They're meant to be smaller to reduce drag. And so they're back off pit road, but there's a little bit of a gap between Strauss and Simmons, and Strauss really doesn't want to wait to allow Simmons to catch back up.
And here comes everybody else now down into the box from the leading pack. Grosser, Hoffman, Schubach continuing to stay out. I'm curious that Grosser and Hoffman didn't come down with Marshall Stanley. They opted to stay out a bit later. I wonder if maybe Stanley was just a lap short on field because of how hard he had been pushing that whole run to try to catch the pack. He's been leading that group for most of the run.
Wareham comes into his stall a little cockeyed, but still somehow they allow the char to be jacked up there, so that works for him.
Oh, hold on.
Stanley off.
Look out, Andrew Wood actually spun the tires on pit exit, shot into the grass. He's able to gather it up, no caution, but that is going to cause him to lose the draft, and here comes the last few drivers into the box.
He's trying to bring that car up to speed, and it's just not staying under him right now, and he's going to have Wareham, but that's the only help he's going to get.
Well, the field is going to be complete with their pit stop cycles. Marshall Stanley set to be the net race leader here as they make their way down the front straightaway.
On the inside, Jan Hoffman.
Gathers it up.
Not sure what happened to him. I think he had the same problem.
No issues. We're all fine here. So Hoffman makes way onto the racetrack, and Marshall Stanley is indeed the leader.
I think he came off the button, and the car just shot out from underneath him.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's fine, so he's going to get up and rolling. But, again, we see a big breakup in the pack as a result as Stanley and Moosen and Strauss 1, 2, and 3. Groscher and Egan and Kinder back by 2.6 seconds now. But that is a gap room they can run down. They get enough cars. We saw it happen before, right? You can run that gap down to 3.4, and they caught them by the next pit stop window.
Well, remember what I said about you hit pit road 5 times or so during this race, through the course of this race. And it's about getting to each next pit stop, and then when you do get to execute the pit stops, you've got to do it without mistakes. Remember, we had 4 or 5 cars in that lead pack, right? Actually, we had them all the way back to about 9th spot. Now, Mustanen inside on Stanley. But remember, when they all hit pit road at the same time, different drivers had different problems. Now that's broken that group up. So when I talked about not making mistakes on pit road, those that made mistakes on pit road are now, they're really paying for them because they got to make them up on the racetrack, and it's so hard to do that. And now the lead is Mustanen.
And that's not going to last for long, though, because Marshall Stanley really wants to go and get it back here as they fight their way up and around the outside line. So several drivers still at it here and still trying to see if they can fight this one out for potential win. And when you take a look at Strauss, who right behind this field, he's also wanting to throw his hat up and into the ring. A pretty solid effort that drivers are having, but I tell you what, they are not making it easy on themselves, are they?
Let's talk about pit stop efficiency as well. Remember, Strauss and Logan Simmons came to pit road at the same time. But for whatever reason, Simmons' pit stop was not as efficient as Strauss. Strauss is now in 3rd in the lead pack. Simmons is in 8th spot, well behind, like 3 seconds plus behind the leader.
Stanley again looking back to the inside. Could they potentially be doing swap drafting here to try and see if they can keep building that gap up, working together temporarily?
Yeah, so he's going to work with Wood. These are 2 very experienced drivers right here that have a 3rd car. And so Wareham actually clipped a little bit of the apron there. But they're going to try to hand off one another to get to Jan Hoffman. Now, Jan Hoffman.
Hold on. Moosen clipped the back of Marshall Stanley. They're headed down into turn 1. There were some sparks.
Big switch.
That flew up, but they are able to gather it up.
But if Wood can get to Hoffman, now whether or not Hoffman's going to be a big help with that back rear wing of his, I don't know.
Well, these guys are going to continue to fight it out here, but this fight for the lead is continuing to just escalate in intensity as they're trying to work with each other as well, and it seems to be a disagreement on nobody wants to really, nobody wants to be the guy running second fiddle back here, as you will see Robert Barnicow go around the outside. Brandon Shoemaker, Zachary Wareham, like you say, closing to the back of Andrew Wood. They're going to look to pick up Jan Hoffman here in about the next lap or so, and we'll see if they're able to work their way up to Robert Groscher more. If these guys can close up to Groscher, Kinder, and Egan, they should be able to run down the leaders.
The guys at the point are our last 2 oval race winners. Mustanen won the last 2, and then the race before that, before we had our summer break, was Stanley at Richmond. So those are the last 3 oval races we've had, and those are your last 2 winners right there.
Andrew Wood is going to go down to the inside of Jan Hoffman. Zachary Wareham goes with him, so they don't want to let Jan Hoffman lead this train.
No. I think, and in fact, I think Hoffman wants to just stay with what these guys and maybe pull them along, but he's not going to be a very effective lead of that lead of that train. He's not a very effective engine. Now we're watching Kinder. And Kinder and Egan, these are teammates, so they're definitely in comms working with one another.
Well, the field going to continue to pick up in these little fights here. We've got The halfway point rapidly closing in here at the Auto Club Speedway. We're going to take ourselves with a quick step back. We return. Racing action resumes here at the Auto Club Speedway. We'll go side by side. You won't miss a second. Stay with us as we advance further towards the halfway point of racing action here at the Auto Club Speedway.
You could be my true dad.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV as racing action continues to move on here at the Auto Club Speedway. My name is Little Ramble alongside your God, so we bring you all the racing action here on this 10th round of the Classic Indycar Series, the Pavement Recycling Systems Indy 400. So far, only 2 yellow flags on the afternoon, and boy, the first caution flag that we saw was an absolute doozy with a violent crash up into the outside wall. Gary, let's revisit what happened back on lap number 29 and the absolute monster crash that saw effectively an end to the championship battle with Cameron Dance being involved.
Yeah, Cameron to the inside, and I think Jan just thought he was clear, and he just caught and hooked Cameron. Cameron just had a big run to the inside, and maybe Jan heard clear, and just by the time he made that move, clear was not there anymore, and that's ended the championship. So our championship leader now runs second in a pack of cars that are very hungry for a win. Stanley got his maiden win earlier this season at Richmond, looking for another one as we're about that halfway point. Strauss, you know, he's been in this league for a very long time as well. Actually, he's not been in the league in a long time, but he's been in the community for a long time. He's a long-time IndyCar racer, DW12s, IR18s, but only 7 starts here in the Classic IndyCar Series, and he's still looking for his first win here at this level as well. So, do we see a new first-time winner? Do we see a winner that already has his first win kind of get the additional pat on the back that you could win again? Sometimes that second win is just as elusive as the first win. Or do we see Thomas walk out of here in the strongest way possible by getting a series record 5th win in a row, putting him in a real-world IndyCar class of only 2 other drivers, A.J. Foyt and Al Unser Sr.? And also, does he walk out of here with the championship in hand? For sure, I think one of those 3 things is going to happen today. He's walking out of here with the championship. Those other 2 things, icing on the cake for him, I believe.
Critically as well, right? Oh, hold on. We'll get back to that in a moment. We've had a big mess on the racetrack. Johnny Garrett has gone something has happened to Rob Barnicow. Barnicow has hit the wall. Johnny Garrett is slow as well. These guys were in the middle of a battle back here. We kind of checked into that briefly, and it looks like it's come to blows in a very physical way that will force Barnicow into pit road to the meatball fly. This is coming off of turn number 2, and oh boy, hop up over the rear.
Garrett just kind of just comes on. I don't know if he was expecting maybe Barnicow had an issue and had to roll out of it, where he had a big run and just going to get the car to turn, but Garrett just runs into the back of him almost.
Barnicow checked up. He was trying to avoid going into the outside wall. That's what happened there. And Barnicow with a meatball flag is going to now be forced to come down pit road to fix up some damage on that left rear. I would not be surprised that bent up the suspension a bit.
Safety inspection now for Barnicow. We'll see what happens to his car when it reaches the stall. It's going to go up on the jacks, so they're going to go ahead and service it, which is pretty typical. And then when it comes down, how much damage are they looking at to repair? And now they're starting to tinker on the car in the sim, and it might be a bit of a wait for Barnicow. Leaders coming up to lap traffic now. Lucas Santos, 1.2 seconds in front of this group.
Santos, one driver that has had he's had a few highs, but a lot more lows in this season. It seems like anytime he's having a good day, I mean, this guy just cannot catch a break wherever you look, right? I mean, he's been doing his best, but end of the day, only so much you can do when fate seems to be working against you at every turn. And he is about to go a lap down, and that will effectively spell an end to his bid on going for a race win.
Yeah, well, we watch the leaders approach him. Going back to what I was saying earlier, this is the IndyCar the IndyCar track record here is also the world closed course record. Yeah, he stayed high.
No, you got a wicked death bobble going as well. It nearly went around.
Remember, we still have, condition-wise, pretty strong winds out there, 13 miles per hour. So that is going to impact how some of these cars are going to behave and maybe have a little bit of a wicked snap. We're also 24 laps, almost 25 laps now into this stint. So these tires are getting well worn. But the track record is the world closed course record here set by Gilles de Ferran back in 2000. So if you take a chart of where technology and speed meet, it's 2000 right here. That's where the X intersects right here at the Auto Club Speedway. Gilles de Ferran turned a lap of 241.428 miles per hour. The only track with a recorded lap speed of official recorded lap speed of 240 plus. Right here at Auto Club Speedway. The IRL track record when the IndyCar series later came here, 226, a more pedestrian 226, set by Helio Castroneves in 2003. Also should be noted, while we're watching a 400-mile race here, the fastest ever IndyCar race and 400-mile race was also held here in 2003 when Sam Hornish won. The race had one caution for 6 laps. That was it. The average speed of the race, 207.151 miles per hour. So those guys had little rest in that race. But I do remember watching that on TV, and the TV guys had a lot of extra time at the end of that race.
Well, if you like the show that we've been having this afternoon, be sure to check out some of the other shows coming up here on Green Flag TV. We got, of course, the Blaze Metals ARCA Series and Mobility Resort Motegi. They'll be having a marathon race over in Japan. Mid-Atlantic Racing Series is going to be out at the National Super Speedway. And speaking of Super Speedways, it's Talladega week. SRA was out there just last night. This coming week, Oma Sorrell is out there on Tuesday afternoon, along with the Premier Sim Racing Outland Motorsports Truck Series, and of course the Speed Cup Series as well at the Talladega Super Speedway. from Tuesday through Thursday. While the Zero Turn Racing League, close enough. They're going to be at Michigan International Speedway this coming Friday. And SRA this next weekend swings back to the Pocono Raceway. So plenty of action coming on up here in the next week or so on Green Flag TV as we are closing out. It's going to be the 4th show in just a 24-hour time span. And there will be 5 by the end of the weekend.
Back in the 70s, actually, A.J. Foyt turned some laps testing-wise at Talladega and set the world closed course speed record there for a while in an IndyCar. So, yes, IndyCars actually have been on the Talladega Superspeedway, not in a racing capacity. Only in iRacing you can do that, but in a testing capacity, IndyCars have been on the Talladega Superspeedway.
Some people have asked before, why didn't they ever go and race there? And it's like, have you seen what happens there in NASCAR races? Look at what happens with NASCAR races there, and you'll understand really quickly why IndyCar never raced there.
Yeah, we don't. I like the fact that IndyCar does not go there, and I also like the fact that the only way you can see IndyCar there is on iRacing. When we have those races on my channel, they typically get more eyeballs, and the eyeballs are there for morbid curiosity. What would an IndyCar do at Talladega? Well, it's 250 miles per hour, one on top of one another for the entire race. That's what IndyCars are like at Talladega.
So for reference, remember, the Monza Oval was already decommissioned all the way back in the 60s, remember, because it was deemed as too dangerous. When your track's too dangerous in the 60s, you know you're doing something wrong. Zachary Wareham receiving a meatball flag. Not seeing any damage on his car. I think he's burned the right side tires up.
Oh, and he just passed Santos, who was doing a power slide off the corner.
Yeah. I think the tire's starting to kind of get away from these drivers here as Zach Wareham is going to be forced to pay road. If you don't serve that meatball flag within 3 laps, you get disqualified from the race, and they'll be coming down this time by.
Yeah, here he comes.
We saw this a lot apparently in the Velocity Online Racing Series, their IndyCar series yesterday, right? About how a lot of drivers were having those right side tires just shredded by Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, we were looking at laps, stints of 50 laps. Really had to be reduced to about stints of 40 laps in order to be effective, or you just really had to back down your pace.
Well, Wareham remains in pit road as we now have just 90 laps to go on what is by far our longest green flag run of the afternoon. Robert Grosser, Ethan Aiken, Sebastian Kinder all in the midst of this battle pack, and of course, coming on up in the final days of this series, the last points race for the Indy 500 will be in 2 weeks, October 26th, at the Sebring International Raceway for their shorter modified circuit. That'll be a 100-lap sprint, 197 miles an hour. So that'll be replicating, of course, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, as St. Petersburg is not present on iRacing as of right now, although there are plans to bring it on. So I know Sebring, I know the modified Sebring layout has been a long time replacing. It's got a similar-ish track, at least, overall outline. It also is run on an airfield, so I see the similarities. Obviously, St. Petersburg, a lot more technical than the modified layout it is, but with St. Petersburg making its debut in iRacing here pretty soon.
Yes.
I'm curious to see how that one's going to pan it out. And of course, after Sebring, it's the month of November. Poll day on November 9th. Bump down the 16th, 500 on the 23rd.
I believe the Sebring course is the one we're using that CART really used to use a lot for spring training.
Yes.
But yeah, St. Pete coming to the service next season, I think.
I don't know. I think they've said they've licensed it. I don't think they've scanned it.
I don't scan, but very, 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 very close. And that's one more traditional IndyCar track that you can tick off the want list now after Portland. Long time everyone wanted that. That just recently arrived, and of course we saw that here in the series. And yeah, you're going to see a lot of these IndyCar leagues immediately want to use St. Pete when St. Pete becomes a track that you can buy the license for your subscription. And that leaves very few tracks now left out there. Of course, Toronto now moving to Markham, which is just outside of Toronto, so we won't be seeing that track probably anytime soon. Although there was rumors that the Toronto Exhibition Place street course has been scanned. So whether or not they could use that, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. But then also the new addition of the Arlington course to the NTT IndyCar schedule for next season. That's what everyone's saying, kind of in place of the ex-Texas Motor Speedway. In fact, I just rather wish they go back to Texas Motor Speedway instead of doing another street course. But, you know, the Cowboys involved, Jimmy Jones is involved, so, you know, there's a lot of money and a lot of visibility that's going to happen that way. So putting the IndyCar there and maybe getting some extra eyeballs on it on that Arlington course. But it's going to be a while before we see that join the sim. But just about every other IndyCar course, modern IndyCar history is available on the sim, and having St. Pete would be a great one to have.
Well, so clarification on that one. They have, as of the August 21st development blog, right, it has been licensed. There's no mention about it currently being scanned. But they have confirmed it is licensed, so it is very much in the works. They're probably, I think they're going to scan it. They haven't scanned it already. I imagine they're going to scan it the next time we see a major series go out there. Like,
you got to have the track ready, yep.
Well, like the Mazda Cup, like IndyCar. I know the NASCAR trucks are going the next year.
Trucks are supposed to go there. Yep.
They might go out there for the NASCAR truck race as well, scan it in then, because it's one of those tracks, right? They close a bunch of roads, run a bunch of series all at once, they can open them up quickly again. So I imagine they're going to go down to it. All the race series are out there, scan it in between sessions, and go from there. Might be a little bit, because of course we saw how long it took for them to get Long Beach fully scanned in.
Long Beach for a long time was one of those technical tracks.
Yes. They did see some mild use across a few different series. I think actually CIS was one of the series that did dabble with that once or twice before the full release came out. I know a couple of leagues use the technical track. It's one of the things, right, where, I mean, the tech track, you know, the track's all there. It's all there. Like, the track surface is ready to go. They just hadn't scanned the background at all.
It kind of looked like Thanos, like in mid-snap or something like that.
Several drivers, here we go. Pit stops underway. Jan Hoffman is going to be coming on down once again. So Hoffman making his way into the box. Yeah, of course, damaged car, but remember, he was up there with some of the front runners as well for a little bit. So this could open up the pit stop window for the rest of the leaders. Stanley, Musted, Strauss still run 1, 2, and 3. Groscher, Agin, and Kinder 4, 5, and 6. Andrew Wood, the next one to come down pit road.
And here comes Stanley.
So Marshall Stanley, hold on, locking up the brakes and having a bit of a moment.
A long slide and no black flag, but it's going to cost them some time. Let's see how this shakes out.
Groscher, Agin, and Kinder all remain on the racetrack as of right now, so they're showing no signs of
he misses his marks just a little bit as a back up.
Pit road anytime soon. Meanwhile, Mustonen and Strauss continuing up their little fight. Logan Simmons is going to make his way down pit road this time by. And here comes Matthias Strauss. He's going to be the next one to hit pit road. That leaves Mustonen out all by himself in the lead of the race. Here comes, hold on, look out, as a collision on pit entry. Ethan Agin runs into the back of Robert Groscher and spins around.
Unforced error. Let's check that out again. What happened? Just comes up on Groscher right in front of Seb. Seb had to take evasive action.
And Stefan Mellis has been given a black flag on pit entry as well. This is the look on board of Ethan Agin, and then we'll look at Mellis at the same time. Watch this here as he starts making his way in. He's trying to stay with him, right, and just goes a little bit too hard, clicks the grass, runs into the back of him. Luckily keeps it out of the wall as well. And this was Mellis. And, yeah, got caught out by the pit entry cone.
Just, again, what I talked about earlier, you know, just making these laps and then getting to your next pit stop. And here comes Mustonen. He's hitting his marks right now. He's dead on him.
Randy
But
Shoemaker
I was talking
staying
about,
out.
just making these mistakes on pit road, and that's kind of what takes you out of the running of some of these long races.
Shoemaker staying out in the racetrack. He's gambling that maybe a caution flag comes out, and that could save him from losing a lap here. And hey, we've come close, so it's not a bad strategy. I mean, you got nothing to lose. Why not try it, right?
Very solid strat. Very solid strat. And he's coming right now. So he tried to make it last as long as possible.
So he's going to be in. Moosonen is not going to have the race lead out of pit row. Marshall Stanley drives back around him, and it's a two-car fight there because Strauss missed the mark, and he has not been able to catch up to the front runners.
So Mustanen must have came in very conservatively, and again, that's not a bad approach then at this point. You can only do things to make your race worse by making mistakes on pit road. I've been talking about that all race long. So, but we saw Stanley with a very aggressive coming to pit road, and it almost cost him, where he almost kind of looked like we were thinking maybe a black flag was going to be present, and he would get a speeding penalty, but he is now back to being your leader, but Mustanen right there in the draft. So he's going to be right back and even into this thing, and very short order, about the next lap or so. So really not a big loss.
Well, unless he wants to just sit behind Marshall Stanley and let him burn up all the fuel so Mustanen can save a bit. An equally viable strategy. So if I'm Thomas, honestly, let him be the leader. I mean, you're not getting that Grand Slam anyway, so I mean, let him lead, let him burn the fuel up. What's it going to do to you? You get to save a bit of fuel and take less in your final stop. There's no downside to that.
Yeah, getting the Grand Slam on an oval is so hard. I almost did it in an official iRacing race at Kentucky. I won the pole. I led every lap. That's the hard part, leading every lap. I won the race, but unfortunately, I didn't have the fastest lap because I was leading the whole time. I didn't have anyone to draft off of, and when I did approach to draft off lap traffic, they were so much slower. There was really no benefit to me, and I just kind of blow right by them. So I didn't get the fastest lap. It was somebody back in the draft a little bit further back. So getting the Grand Slam at an oval track is nearly impossible. Not out of the discussion. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but it's nearly impossible.
Well, for the most part, drivers are separate into their own little packs here, and everybody's more or less just kind of run this one out by themselves, wanting to see if they can just save some fuel here, right? Again, you got the top two here, but they're not looking to make any moves anytime soon. They are going to live Lucas Santos and Stefan Mellis, but otherwise, 70 laps to go. It's pretty tame out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, they get around Mellis there, and that is also Santos, I believe. Yeah, they're down in a little bit the order. Santos 2 laps down, Mellis 13 laps down. That might help Strauss a little bit, get a little drafting help where he normally wouldn't have it.
They're not going to do much since, again, these guys are both laps down. Mustanen going to sit behind Marshall Stanley, and we'll ride aboard for a few laps as we go full throttle on Green Flight TV. So that's a few laps on board with some of the drivers here in this field. And for the most part, everybody's, again, like we're protected, right? They're all running pretty much. Oh, hold on. Up the track goes Marshall Stanley. He got a wicked bobble.
Oh.
But still,
Yeah.
right, Mooson, he could have gone for the lead. He didn't opt for it, though. Oh, he's going to try it there, though. Oh, no. And now a black flag. That is enough to give Marshall Stanley a penalty for incident points. Oh, my goodness. Because remember, they do have that incident limit, and that's a 4X. That'll send him to pit road. Well, that effectively ends the battle for the lead.
Well, Strauss isn't out of this thing yet. He's now 1.2 back, and he's just been casually reeling these guys in, and now that little bit of racing has allowed him to close the gap even more. So we might still have a two-car battle out of this. Don't go anywhere yet.
And there it is, Stanley forced to come down pit road. Oh, my goodness.
This is a drive-through penalty.
That's going to leave a very sour taste in Moosen's mouth, I'm sure, if he wins the race like that.
Now, he could stop if he wants to. I don't think it's going to do him any good, so he just needs to do the drive-through and continue
with
the stint.
A drive-through, you're not allowed to stop in your box. It doesn't clear the black flag if you come down for service.
It would just make the penalty more longer, actually.
Exactly.
So just do the drive-through. At this point, you still would have to stop again.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Once again, the low torque comes back and bites Stanley.
And there goes Moosen. He's lost a lap because of that mistake. He probably could have held the lead lap if he didn't make that blunder, but don't go onto the racetrack yet. He might get himself another black flag. Oh, he's still trying to get the hammer down. He's driving. He is pissed off. That is clear right now. He's driving real angry, and he's just hurting himself.
Those are tires that are very warm. And they just don't have the adhesion right now that he's used to coming off of pit road on the colder tires. The warm tires,
take a look.
It's like instant slippage.
Right here, watch this. That little contact right there, that's enough to give Stanley a black flag for incident points.
Strauss now 1.3 behind Mustanen.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so there's not much drama. I mean, we just saw the drama there, but in terms of the leader, not much drama left in his race. He just basically needs to run these last 60 laps out. I think Strauss is probably going to reel him in. He's got one more pit stop to do. That's probably the biggest obstacle in at least ahead of him. That's his biggest obstacle he needs to overcome. But right now, it's looking like championship win number 5 and joining in a very elite group of real-world racers.
I don't know if Strauss is going to get him, honestly. I mean, the gap was around 1.2, high 1.1s before when Moosen was with Stanley. That's dropped back to 1.3 and a half now. I mean, I don't see him getting there. He's only been losing time since they got single file. Well, we got Sebastian Kinder and Robert Groscher. They're still within a couple tenths of each other, just trying to manage their own races here. Was the end as Gross trying to save fuel. It's a similar look for his teammate Jan Hoffman, who runs right behind Andrew Wood. But yeah, with still about just under 60 laps to go, there's not a whole lot to create some shakeups in this race unless somebody just loses it by themselves on cold tires.
Yeah. We still and we mentioned that exactly. We still have pit stops coming up, so there's something could happen there. 15 cars still running, so there's still a lot of cars out there. We started with 20, and on the lead lap, it's the top 7.
Yeah, for a moment, I thought Robert Grosh is going to look around the outside of Kinder there, trying to go for the spot, but he's going to keep that car in line. Well, while we wait for something to happen here, going to thank, again, the folks that keep the lights on here for the Classic Indycar Series. Of course, a big thanks to Virtual Racing School for coming on board as the title sponsor. A big thank you to Butt Kicker for being a long-time sponsor of CIS. And, of course, a bit of a newer sponsor to the fold. Pavement Recycling Systems, founded in 1989, PRS first provided cold milling services to the Southern California market. Now PRS has subsequently grown into the premier general engineering subcontractor for cold milling, soil stabilization, roller compacted concrete, and cold in place asphalt recycling in California and Nevada, with presence as well in Utah, Oregon, and Washington. In 2007, PRS added the paper preservation company Pavement Coatings Company, adding paper preservation services throughout California and specializing in the use of RAP aggregates via their McLean Aggregates division. Both PRS and PCC are owned by PRS Holdings Incorporated and are proud to be 100% employee-owned. For more, visit paperrecycling.com. While Robert Roach has made the look, he has gotten around Sebastian Kinder for third.
Yeah, Robert having a great race. Likes these marathon races. Not a sprinter.
Of course, a 2.5 time limit being put on this race as well. 2.5 hour time limit being put on this race, just in case we got a rash of caution. But so far, that rash of caution does not come in. Now, I don't blame him for wanting to have a time like that, right? I mean, we saw how long Richard Webb, we saw the middle result Motegi come down to a time race. We saw New Hampshire last season have a rash of cautions. The Milwaukee Mile had a rash of cautions. So no surprises, but at this point, we are nowhere near at risk of running into that time limit.
Yeah, we're going to finish this in time. And I really, like I said, like you said earlier, we're watching one of the closest battles on the racetrack right here between Robert and Seb. But there's really, I mean, in order to really get a caution, you need to be kind of in close contact with another car, or, I mean, you just kind of lose it on cold tires, and we're not going to have that until we get pit stop. So the chances of caution are kind of starting to reduce greatly here as we get into the late stages here now, getting into the last quarter of this race now with in the next 2 laps.
Andrew Wood still trying to see if he can find a move on Jan Hoffman as well. So the battle for 5th and 6th still has gone nowhere. Retirement so far from this race includes Zachary Wareham, Cameron Dan, Franz Josef Stum, Jim Wilson, and Rafael Rodriguez. Stefan Mella is still very much in the race, although he is 13 laps down to this point, and he has been lapping a bit slower than other drivers. I'm not entirely sure what caused him to go so far down, but 13 laps down he is. He is just hoping other drivers take themselves out of the race. Giacometti down the road. This will be for a scheduled pit stop just based on the fuel numbers from when the last came down the road.
Big week in the Indycar community. We got a 500 miler at Indianapolis later this week in the Elite Racing League. The open test for the PRI Hoosier 500 later tonight. Also, the IndyCar Pro Series qualifiers start this week using the IL-15 Indy Next cars for the qualifying portion of the series before moving on to the IR-18. So, big week in the IndyCar community. It's kind of kicking off right now with this 400 miler right here. Free Flight TV here at Auto Club.
And a look for the inside as Andrew Wood falling under fire from Jan Hoffman. And while Jan Hoffman took the spot, and Wood's going to quickly take that spot right back. So Andrew Wood was no longer content to have Jan Hoffman running in front of him. So Jan Hoffman now falls into line behind Andrew Wood for 6th place. And who knows, maybe we'll see this fight come to blows again while Kinder and Grosser remain 2 by. Now the big question is, have these guys been running down Matthias Strauss up the road, right? That's, I think, a big question that we are thinking to ourselves. And the answer is yes, but not enough to really mean anything between now and the next pit stops.
Yeah, right. Not at the pace you expect. I mean, it's shaving a little here, a little there. Strauss is 3 seconds ahead of Grosser. Strauss also losing contact by himself to Mustanen. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. It was like 1.1 at one point, and now it's like 1.7. And we suspect final stops to happen here. Let me look again here. These guys need to get about another, they need to get closer to, we said the fuel window was 39 to 44. We're in 32 now. They need to get closer, probably in another 6 laps for sure. If they want to go home with 40 to go, they can probably do it.
Well, at this point, if you pit now, you should be good to go the distance, right? Because we just saw Giacometti, who was pretty much running by himself, go 45 laps on a stint. So you pit from here, you're going to be good to go to the end. So there's no doubt about it. Fuel is not going to be a big factor today, unless drivers decide to try and short fuel the car in the hopes that they can come away with a shorter pit stop. That or an alternative option, right, is to just pit now, and then you don't have to worry about it from here to the end.
I think a short fill will cause you to have to do a little bit of a fuel save. Now, if you could do a short fill, maybe when you get to 40 or less, they go now, they might have to do a little bit of a fuel save to get to the end. So I would say just run this out. Just run this whole stint out, dry the tank out, and you're just going to have to sit on pit road and wait for those last precious drops to hit the tank. And actually, I mean, I've talked about this before here in races. The Indycar fueling system, the fueling rigs you see in the pits, they're gravity fed. So like old Formula One, they were under pressure. And of course, when you see them in stock cars, they got the guy with the big tank. And of course, those are gravity fed as well. But IndyCar, they're also gravity fed. So it requires the weight of the fuel in the tank to push the fuel through the hose into the car in order to fill the car up. And when they're at the end of real races, when they come to pit road, typically the fuel flows slower because there's less fuel in the tank, less fuel, less liquid weight to push everything down. So in the late stages of real IndyCar races, getting those last precious drops of fuel to get into the tank typically take much longer because physics isn't really working with you anymore. But that's really not recognized here in the sim. So they will have to wait for the tank to fill, but it's going to be at the same rate it would normally as it would if they were to do it at pit stop, like right at, you know, the very first, at the end of the very first stint, very early in the race.
I didn't know that fuel systems were gravity fed. I mean, I figured the NASCAR cans were, right? I mean, I didn't know the IndyCar system, right? I figured they would have had a more robust pressurized system for something like that.
Yeah, dangerous, and that's why Formula One doesn't do it anymore because they, you know, it comes to the point that you start cutting corners, and they would do other things like they would put fuel under pressure. They would keep the fuel cooler because it would help combustion and help keep the engine temp lower when they would have cold fuel going in. So they would do things, you know, a little bit differently. IndyCar just, they don't get the fuel until the day of the race, right before the race, and they have just enough fuel in the tank to complete really the distance. So in most cases, last stops for IndyCar, they're using what's left of that fuel in the tank. And sometimes they'll be down to less than a cup or less in the tank that that never really truly get to the car because it's stuck in a hose someplace. But no, they're all gravity fed, and it relies on physics to take it from the tank into the car. And also part of the fueling rig is also a venting hose that you need that air to get escaped. So that could also help, so you don't have the bubbles and everything that will slow down a fuel stop. So you have the fueling rig on an Indy car is kind of a two-in-one thing. It used to be back they would hook two hoses up to an Indy car, one on the side, one on the top. One would be the vent, one would be for fuel. Now it's all in the same, now on the same rig. It's all in the same enclosure.
Well, as Robert Groscher tries to fight off Sebastian Kinder, because Kinder did make a couple of attempts here or there. Pit stops are underway as Andrew Wood has come down pit road for his last stop of the day. Jan Hoffman has also been down for his last stop of the day. He is just making his way back out onto the racetrack. So final pit stops underway as Andrew Wood making his way down into the box, and he will look to take back off once again as he makes his way on out. And now Lacey Marshall Stanley running by himself. Stanley's had a problem here because he was real slow in the front straight, but he needed to come down pit road.
He missed the pit in. Yes, he did.
Dear.
He was trying to slow down, and he just couldn't make the turn.
Probably a wise move to just bail out early and get back on the racetrack, better than spinning it out, causing damage, and costing himself even more time.
Minimize the time loss there. Minimize the time loss. We got Strauss on pit road, and coming down with Strauss is, I think, Simmons. He's on pit road. Oh, Simmons misses his marks entirely. He's trying to back up on it. Now he's still trying to get aimed. That's got to hurt. Final stop. There was a race here I was in the DW12s back in Lionheart. This is one of Lionheart's in the Speedway series. They would have one of their final races of the season there, and in their inaugural season, they had the roster kind of open up for drivers, and I got a chance to make that race. And I remember in that race that all I wanted to do was just hit pit road and not make any mistakes. And I think I think it was a 400-mile race, maybe a 300-mile race. I know it was one of the more longer of the Lionheart Speedway Series races as we watched Mustanen come into pit road for his final stop of what will be his final race for getting the championship. But I just remember my strategy was just to hit pit road and be safe about everything and be cautious and safe and not speed. And by the end of my second or third stint, I kind of looked down at the standings, which I never really paid attention to, and I'm inexplicably in the top 10. And I'm like, how in the heck did I get here? And the reason I got there is that everyone was making so many mistakes on pit road at this racetrack. It's so easy to do. If you just come to pit road and just minimize those mistakes and be very conservative, you could work your way up through the standings in very tight races. And we see Mustanen doing that right now. We've seen Shoemake doing that right now. Strauss doing that. Just minimize those mistakes while everyone else makes mistakes around you.
Randy Shoemake still has yet to come down to pit road. Same story for Johnny Garrett. Johnny Garrett is coming down into the box as of now. Lucas Santos still has to pit as well. Rob Barnicow will have to come down one more time before the end of this race. So there is Garrett coming down to the box, and we are expecting to see Shoemake in this lap through as well. And here he comes. So Shoemake will come down to pit road, and that will close on out the regular pit stop cycle for the drivers that are on the lead lap. Santos will be in this time by. Then we'll need Barnicow and Giacometti. They'll likely come down one more time, and then they should be good to go the distance from there.
And Mustanen is done. His final stop is complete. 33 to go. Has a 5-second lead over Strauss. Now it's just running this race out at this point, hoping for no caution. Strauss has now been joined by Kinder, and we actually might have a three-way battle coming for second place here.
Robert Groscher started to gradually run down Kinder and Strauss. He's sniffing at that draft about 1.1 seconds back. We'll see if he can continue to close, but he is only sliding backwards. So I gotta be honest, I don't think he's gonna quite be able to make it up there. And Randy Shoemake has just been black flagged for an unsafe pit exit.
Like I said, minimizing mistakes. Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Stanley.
Jeez.
And that's right around Andrew Wood, and Logan's there. Wow.
3, almost 4 wide. This was what happened to Randy Shoemake coming out of pit road, and what's going to send him back down into the pits.
That was for 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Right there, he drifted up too far onto the racetrack, and that is enough to give him the penalty. And then, while that's all going on, you had this one on the other side of the racetrack coming down the back straightaway into turn numbers 3 and 4. Would attack Hoffman down to the inside, and they're catching a slow Robert Barnicow, and they did go 4 wide for a moment to get around it.
Yeah, they did. That is for 5th spot. That's Wood, Hoffman, and Simmons, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Specifically Wood and Hoffman. Simmons is a lap, or Marshall Stanley is a lap down.
Yeah, you're right. Stanley is in 8th, and it's a Wood and Hoffman. Hoffman's still surviving with that bad wing. I mean, that's if he gets a top 5 and can sneak a top 5 out of that with that back wing, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good accomplishment. Actually makes up for kind of starting that reckless dance earlier in the race.
We're looking to have a good day at the office here, so Andrew Wood will keep up his scrap. Sebastian Kinder, Robert Groscher. Make that Kinder and Strauss. They'll be in it for number 2, and Grosser has dropped off 3 seconds for the front runners. So, like others, they are not going to be, or it will not be a 3-way battle for the second place spot. Once again, we are in a green flag run. We'll take one more break and be back with the last few laps in a moment here on Green Flag TV. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV as we are approaching 20 laps to go in the Pavement Recycling Systems Indy 400 here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Only 2 cautions so far. They came out back-to-back, one on lap 30 and one on the restart. Since then, it has been smooth sailing with little action to speak of on the racetrack. Andrew Wood and Jan Hoffman still remain within a quarter of a second, although Stanley almost helping to pull Andrew Wood further and further away. Ethan Hagen has got about a 0.4 of a second back to Johnny Garrett, with Logan Simmons bridging the gap between the two of them. And Matthias Stratt, Sebastian Kinder in the fight for second place. Not really a fight. They're working together, at least for the time being.
Yeah, gloves are on this one. This is still among friends, but less than 10 to go, less than 5 to go, certainly. They will not be friends.
Once again, Sebring International Raceway stands as the final road course of the season, coming on up in 2 weeks before we'll swing on over to the Brickyard for the last 3 weeks of competition. 2 of them qualifying for the Indy 500, and of course, the Indy 500 proper to close out Classic IndyCar Series' 11th season of competition.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, talking about teammates here in IndyCar racing. If you're watching and you're more familiar with teammates from Formula One, you know, your teammate is your number one enemy in Formula One. Here in IndyCar racing, teammates are really your best friend up until the end of the race. And then at that point, the gloves should come off, and it's mano a mano at that point. It should be decided on the racetrack. IndyCar typically hasn't had a history with team orders, but team orders do happen from time to time. And if Team Watson Racing decides that they need Strauss to have the better point day than Kinder, they could just say, Kinder, just ride it out and get yourself a podium finish. If they don't feel the need for that, especially here in a big 400-mile race late in the season, maybe using it for a warm-up for Indianapolis, they might just say, okay, guys, go ahead. Decide it amongst yourselves. May the better man win.
Well, these guys still nose to tail for second place. Andrew Wood, the big mover of the day, plus 14, as he has fought his way up to 5th from 19th on the grid. The car right in front of him, Marshall Stanley, was the last big mover. He was up 17 at one point and all the way into the race lead. Just did not go that way for him. He got caught with a black flag. He was set to battle it out with Musa to the end of the race, but unfortunately, contact between he and Musa and gave him a black flag he had to come down for. And immediately after that, he spun the tires on pit exit and spun the car around, which is just shot his day of the foot. He now runs back in 8th place and just hoping that some lead lap cars will tire before the end so he can walk away with a few more points.
I think really this day is going to come down to those that minimize mistakes to the very least. And I don't think Thomas has turned a wheel wrong all day today. I think he has survived just simply by making fewer mistakes than everyone else. Now we're watching Wood still tucked in behind Stanley. We know Stanley, we were talking about him just a minute ago, has a lot of pace. Ooh, a little bit of a twitch there from Wood coming off the corner. That's, they're in the neighborhood of Shoemake. Again, Jan Hoffman, if they're normally the driver of the race award, I typically give goes to the driver that improves the most positions, that doesn't finish on the podium. That's the Luis Gonzalez Nunez Driver of the Race Award. Well, that's Wood right now in 5th spot. He's up 14. But I got to give a little bit of a redemption story for Hoffman. That even though he caught wheels with Dance earlier in the race, and that took out that big 3-car wreck very early on, and really just kind of set the tone for the championship for the rest of this race. Look at that back wing of his, and that back wing that is not stock condition. That back wing of his, there it is. That is not stock condition. The fact that he has been able to stay on the lead lap at a 400-mile race and still be in sight of the finish and staying on that lead lap, and get a top 10, that deserves a super shout out for sure. And maybe an honorary mention for driver of the race.
Oh, Jan Hoffman still
300 miles on that back wing, by the way. It's been like that.
Well, he's doing a good job of just holding his own, right? I mean, he doesn't have much to speak of in this race. He's been running a very quiet race since that race. Just kind of.
Oh, Andrew Wood gets squirrely off the corner.
Oh boy, rejoins the racetrack in a big moment coming out of turn number 4 for the Catalyst. Take a look on what has happened here to Wood as he comes down into turn numbers 3 and 4, looped the back end, and that was almost the caution that a lot of drivers are waiting for.
And now Jan Hoffman, with that broken wing, is looking at a top 5. And there's still some racing to go. I don't know if Wood's going to be able to wheel him back in. Right now, he's with a teammate who will act as a bit of a, not a rear gunner, but a front gunner for him now, just punching the hole in the air. Because if Hoffman was leading, he's not nearly as efficient leading a car as he is following a car right now. A top 5 with that broken wing in the back. Jeez. That's pretty amazing right there.
Well, Andrew Wood has dropped out of the top 5, and if they continue to slide back, he's not going to be regaining that anytime soon. So Kinder and Strauss continue to fight it out. Remember, no overtime as well, so if we got a caution, we are getting dangerously close to the point where a yellow flag would just outright end the race entirely.
Yeah. Thank God for no green, white checkers in IndyCar racing. This is a 400-mile race. That's 400 miles is what you're going to get. Whether or not it's under caution or the guy wins by 5 seconds, like we have right now, that's racing, buddy. That's how it's done. But 9 to go. Yeah, I think when we start getting under 5 to go, final, whatever flag we see will end the race.
9 laps to go. It'll be 8 at the line before too long as Mustonen continuing to run away with it. 5.6 seconds, nothing to stop him from taking a record-setting 5th win in a row and winning the championship while he's at it.
8th win this season if he brings it home. Oh, there it is! There's a caution!
Oh, you're kidding me!
Now, here we go! Here we go!
Oh, no!
Here we go!
Rob Barnicow goes around, and he is the one that brings the yellow out. He'll come to pit road, but it's too late.
He's coming off the corner. I don't know if he's coming to pit road or what, but it gets loose, kind of like Andrew Wood, and swaps the car around, and he's just above the white line enough that he's going to bring the caution out.
He would have been coming to pit road. He was on his 45th lap. He couldn't go any further, so that was just on the brakes, getting loose on the back end, and he spins the car around. And
oh, my goodness.
And, of course, that counts as being on the race surface because he's right in the middle of the pit entry line. That's been consistent across iRacing through these oval refreshes, right? Is, that pit entry area, that counts as racing surface now.
Yep. And, folks, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We have a race now. And the way this is going to work out is I don't know if Thomas is going to come to pit road, but with now 7 cars on the lead lap, they're going to be all lined up from nose to tail on this last restart. So all of the lap cars are going to be shuffled to the back. I suspect somebody in this group is going to come to pit road and throw on a new set of tires if they have them, and they're going to do a full send, and we are going to see a sprint race, drag race to the end now. So now the 5th win is entirely in question. The 8th win for the season is now entirely in question. The championship may not be in question, but everything that we were talking about leading up to in the last 10 laps to kind of burn some time because we didn't think it was going to happen is now in question. Pump fake by Mustonen. He's not coming to pit road.
Strauss is in.
Strauss is going to take it.
Second place runner takes to pit road. He is the only, no, he's not. Other drivers on the lead lap, Straussen, Huffman, Wood, Simmons, all come down to pit road, and got a few cars that are lapped in as well. Shoemaker and Giacometti have come down as well.
So between the leader, we have Mellis. I believe Mellis will be told to allow the cars around him to pass, and he'll cycle to the back. So Kinder should get in direct contact now behind Mustanen. Grosser should also move up as well. Strauss, Simmons, so everybody back to 7th should all be in a single line behind the leader coming to the green flag. We're in that period of the race where they allow that to happen. So we are going to go green with probably about 4 laps to go, I'd imagine.
And critically here, if another caution comes out, that's the race. We're not restarting again after this one. This will be it. So this is going to be a very dangerous restart here because you know that aggressions are going to be extremely high.
And we got cold tires, but new tires, a little bit further back. And we got old, but worn tires, a little bit forward. So the worst of both worlds are going to occur to these drivers on these restarts. And we've seen already in one of the restarts earlier this race with Marshall Stanley when he got loose and smacked the wall and then collected another, I think, 2 more cars around him as things just went, haywire. So do we see that again on this restart? So Mustanen still has the need. Now an additional hurdle has been presented in front of Thomas. He needs to clear this now. And now we got the cars 1 lap down can come to pit road. So Ethan Agan coming to pit road right now.
Lights go out aboard the IRC pace car. And there is Kinder shuffling to the front, so Stefan Mellis will be shuffled towards the tail.
Yep.
Boy, this is going to be a nervy restart. Talk about coming out at the worst possible time for Musen. He had it 1. No one was catching him in those 5 laps.
Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends. Tune in now. Photo finish is coming. Photo finish is coming.
Thomas Mustanen, Sebastian Kinder, Robert Grosser, Matthias Strauss, Jan Hoffman, Andrew Wood, Logan Simmons. 7 drivers still on the lead lap, all of them with a seemingly equal chance at winning this one, because if something happens to Mustanen in the closing laps, how many cars is it going to take with him? Could you imagine if all 7 lead lap cars get caught in a massive crash and Marshall Stanley wins this race from a lap down?
He needs to make it back around and pass him, yeah. Grosser with 7 wins, Stanley with 1 win, but he's a lap down right now. Mustanen with 12 wins, Strauss with no wins. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Coming to it. To the Geico restart zone, the final restart of the race. 4 laps, Musenen's in the wall. He spins the tires big time. Kinder spins them as well, but they get it back underneath them. Green flags in the air. We're taking off towards turn 1. Thought for a moment you get a repeat of what happened to Marshall Stanley, but Thomas Musenenen is taking off, but Kinder closing in, looking for the lead of the race. It'll be 3 to go at the line.
Here comes Strauss underneath Grosser. He's going to get a run. He's going to join his teammate. His teammate actually might try to help him a little bit here in the closing stages. Down the front stretch, Mustanen with the wheel spin. Kinder looking at that first elusive win. He's right there.
Can the Frenchman take his 3rd win and spoil Musenen's efforts to go 5 for 5 in a row? Musenenen still chasing a record-setting win, chasing a championship. He needs to finish in the top
Strauss.
2.
Strauss now. He's getting around his teammate. Thomas trying to block high, block low. He doesn't know who he wants to help or who he wants to block. He just wants to keep him behind. Here comes Strauss. Strauss with a big run. He looks high. I think he's going to use the banking, come back down a little bit and get a big run. 2 to go at the line.
2 laps in this one as Strauss looks high. Fastest lap of the race for Logan Simmons that time through. And Strauss trying to look high. He's going to go for the over-under. And Musenenen opens the door.
Here comes Strauss looking for that first win. In its 8th start, and it's a drag race down the backstretch. Low side, is it going to be the best side? High side's going to have the momentum coming to the white flag. Nolan.
2 miles, 1 lap to go. Musenin can taste history. He tastes the championship. He tastes win number 5. He looks for the high side. Final lap. This race ends under green flag conditions. Try to cut in. They're still too wide. Coming around the 1 and 2 this time by. Musenin is too far at the track. I think that's it. Strauss chasing down to the inside. They're all over the place in the back straightaway. Matthias Strauss continued to pull clear. Robert Grosjean trying to look for the outside line. Musenin cruising into turn number 3 and 4. It's going to be a drag race coming off the final corner. Strauss continuing to pull clear. He's going to hold on. Matthias Strauss, the maiden winner here this afternoon. What a drive from Matthias Strauss to take home his first ever Classic Indycar Series win. But with the second place, Thomas Musenin, the 2025 Classic IndyCar Series champion.
And should we mention that the host with the most, Robert Grosjean, got a bottom step podium finish?
Ethan Hagan and Marshall Stanley both suffering black flags on the final lap as they came together. This was their incident on the final lap, in the final corner no less. As right about there they come together, and that'll cost them both dearly. Well, Matthias Strauss will be able to burn it down. What a drive for Matthias Strauss as he takes his first ever win in Classic IndyCar Series competition, and that win did not come easy. Talk about lucking into it at the buzzer.
Hey, sometimes there's a saying, I'd rather be lucky than good any day. Maybe he might be feeling that right now.
And of course, Musenin also burning it down to the front straightaway as he can celebrate a 2025 championship. He needed to finish. He had to finish with 41 points or more. He has definitely achieved that. An unbelievable drive for Thomas Musenin sees him the champion with 2 races still to go.
And he's still, even with 4 wins in a row, right? He's still in pretty elite company with other IndyCar drivers.
Well, in those 4 wins, that is still a record, right? No other driver in Classic IndyCar Series history in the main championship has won 4 races in a row. That is still a record-setting number for him.
Everyone that has won 4 races or more in IndyCar history has been a series champion. AJ Foyt, Al Unser Sr., Al Unser Jr., Alex Zanardi, Cristiano Damana, Seb Bourdais. Every single one of them at least one IndyCar championship to their name. A lot of these guys have Foyt, Unser Jr., Al Unser Sr. Those are Indy 500 winners right there, multi-time Indy 500 winners. Zanardi probably should have at least participated in a 500. Who knows there? Same thing for Damata. Bourdais came close, but every single one of them in that fraternity right there is a champion in their own right. So add Thomas Musenin to that. Even in the virtual world, it's still worthy of a mention because he's kind of an elite fraternity nevertheless.
A wild way to close out a championship fight here this afternoon. Let's take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. Matthias Strauss comes on number 1. Musenin, the new champion, in 2nd. Grosjean in 3rd. Andrew Wood in 4th. Sebastian Kinder in 5th. Hoffman in 6th. Simmons in 7th. Garrett, Shoemake, Stanley round out the top 10.
And drivers that still made it to the finish but had a bit of a rougher day. Ethan Hagan, of course, we saw at the black flag, comes home 11th. Santos in 12th. Barnicow 13th. Giacometti 14th. Steven Mellis 15th. Then we had Wareham, Dance, Stumi, Wilson, and Rodriguez run out the remainder of your top 20 and your 20-car field.
Well, let's get a chance now to get a jump back here. We'll talk to the drivers that come home, numbers 1, 2, and 3 here at the end of the night. And tell you what, we'll start with the we'll start with 3rd, then we'll talk to the race winner, and then the defending champion. So I'll kick things off. Gary, I'll let you talk to our race winner later on here this afternoon. But what a what a wild way to close out this championship fight here. We'll start it up here with Robert Grosjean coming home number 3 in this one. And Robert, a hard-fought win as you were able to just barely snuck around a bottom step podium here at the end of this one. Talk us through that 4-lap dash right at the end.
Oh, that was pretty intense. Yeah, I had mixed feelings about it because I lost. I was stuck there in 4th place before the caution came out, and then it was a big question like tires, yes or no, and how the start went with Thomas like touching the wall and all. I felt like, oh, okay, good, but. But I knew that I didn't have anything for Matthias there with the fresh tires, so it was like, okay, I wanted to have P2. I was hoping that Thomas will fight a bit less for it, since he had also like wrap up the championship. But yeah, actually with such a gap, he could race me still hard. Yeah, but I can't complain. I'm super happy actually for finishing on the podium after a long time, and a bit sad from what happened to Marshall. I felt like it was like his race today.
Overall, a very stellar drive for that number 99 car, and a good effort as well from other drivers in your team like Jan Hoffman, of course, coming home with a valiant effort. Stanley was looking to contend with Mustonen for a win there before that caution out, of course, before he had his black flag as well. But overall, 2 more races to go with the championship fight effectively over. What's going to be the plan now as we roll out to the final road course race here at Sebring in a week?
Yeah, we want to score just good, like taking each race as an individual thing. Of course, the Indy 500 is like such a special race. Everyone wants to win it, and that is what we are focusing. Yeah, but especially Marshall is really on the roll right now. I think he will do very well at Sebring as well. And yeah, we just try to do well. I somehow try to get into the top 10 overall. That would be awesome after such a season. That is my personal goal. And that's pretty much it.
All right, well, Robert, it was a good effort for you for the Vortex Sim Racing number 99. We'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again in 2 weeks at Sebring. Congratulations on taking on 3rd by the skin of your teeth, and well, we'll see you next time out in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Nolan. Thanks, Gary.
Robert comes home number 1 this afternoon. That'll move us on down to Matthias Strauss, the driver that comes home number 1. It's his maiden Classic IndyCar Series win, and Gary, you're standing by with number 1 today.
Mateus, we said at the end, some drivers might feel that it's better to be lucky than good any day. How lucky do you feel after that late caution and that big run you got down the backstretch to finally get around and pass Thomas on a day that he really just kind of dominated all day up front?
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to be in it to win it, so. But yeah, I mean, Thomas showed that he was the car to beat all day long. So maybe I should go down and buy a scratch ticket or something. But
yeah,
it's definitely on the lucky account.
Talk about your race, though. I mean, you were kind of sitting there in 2nd and 3rd with your teammate, and then the caution comes out, and at that point, it's just like, oh boy, here we go. How did emotions change at that point for you? You had to think at some point, okay, now we got a shot at this thing. Before, you were just making laps and just racing with your teammate for 2nd or 3rd step.
I mean, it started way before Seb caught up to me. I mean, when I was behind Thomas and who was it? Some of the Vortex, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
When we were running P3, I was like hanging on, keeping up with the draft, just hitting the marks and being patient. And then the pit stop wasn't aggressive enough. Just took it super cautious into the pit lane, and it just keep going on. And then I know that when Seb got behind me in the last proper stint, I knew it's like, okay, we can do it. We don't do stupid things to each other. We can trust each other. We have been racing for a really long time. And then we were hoping for no caution because we were both pleased with the 2nd and 3rd with Thomas winning it. So. But then the caution came and everything just flipped on its head. So I took the gamble to be the first car in. and it paid off. Oh, I can't speak. Sorry.
It's a long race. And on that note, my last question for you. I know this is the next longest race on the calendar outside of Indianapolis, but being that it is the next longest race on the calendar, there's not much you could really apply here from Auto Club to Indianapolis. But you got to feel pretty good that you've won the only marathon race this year, and you still have another marathon race to go here in a couple of weeks. You got to feel like your chances at Indianapolis probably took a shot in the arm. Probably feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have those at least 1 or 2 races that are somewhat longer to prepare you for the endurance at Indy. So, yeah, with an amazing setup from Logan and the team, yeah, I can't thank them enough.
Any shout-outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone want to say for this big first win for you?
Yeah, obviously Team Wasn't Racing, my teammates, Logan obviously for building an amazing set. I know that we will have a good set for Indianapolis as well, so looking forward to that, and of course the family. I mean, you can't be here without them, so thank you a lot.
Matthias Strauss, his first win in its 8th start. He becomes the 38th different winner in the Classic IndyCar Series history to get a win. Congratulations, and we will see you when we go back doing this thing again last time on the road courses when we get to Sebring here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you, boys.
Back to you, Nolan.
And that'll take us on down to the true man of the hour. Tomas Mustonen comes home number 2 this afternoon. Tomas, you did not get win number 5 in a row today, but you got something a heck of a lot sweeter. It is your first ever Classic IndyCar Series championship. Talk about how it feels to wrap this one up 2 races before the end of the season.
Oh, yeah, feels great. I really wasn't expecting to get it wrapped up here, but yeah, it just feels good. I don't really have much to say. Shame Cameron got taken out again, and don't really want to win it that way, but it is what it is.
Overall, it was a relatively quiet night for you. You were able to get out in front early on and just cruise away with the championship here. The caution comes out with just about, 6 laps to go thereabouts, so that ruins the chance on going for 5 wins in a row. But hey, the record stands at 4, and you are now a new record holder for most wins in a row in the Classic IndyCar Series. I mean, that in of itself has to be, it has to feel good to know that while you may not have gotten 5, you're still a record holder along with the champion.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that was a record, so yeah, I guess I'll take that happily.
Overall, the 2025 season has been stellar for you. 2026, though, it can come up a bit quicker than people think. Obviously, we have the transition season coming on in, and of course, the 2026 to 27 season beyond. Are you going to be returning to defend that crown after 2025?
Yeah, hopefully. I think I'll do everything I can to make sure I can be back. I don't want to pull out at this point with this kind of season. I want to see if I can do it again, really. Finally getting confident with the car and absolutely loving this series in general, so I'm not planning on leaving.
Well, sounds like a solid plan. We wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again in just a few weeks' time. Congratulations on coming home as the new 2025 Classic IndyCar Series champion, and we'll see you in 2 weeks in Sebring.
Thank you, guys.
Tomas Mustonen comes home number 2 this afternoon in the race, and number 1 in the championship. Gary, holy cow, what a way to close this one out, right? Not a lot to speak of in the middle portion, but those final 4 laps, those are going to stick with quite a few drivers here for a while.
Yeah, the middle portion of this race was looking a little rough, but an oval race always delivers, and at the end, once again, it delivered once again. But I'm looking at the points. We've been updated, but Thomas now has he's clinched, has a 111-point lead over Ethan, who's in second. Now, the battle for second is not over. There's only 19 points separating Dance and Egan for second and third, and only 2 points separating third and fourth. 9 points only separating fifth and sixth. And at 6, there's a tie right now with Jamie Wilson. And Jamie was an early out for this race. Jan Hoffman only 9 behind that group. Johnny Garrett only 11 behind the 8th spot. So the top 10, a lot of positions in the top 10 still up for grabs. And, you know, good finishes here in the next couple of races. Of course, Indianapolis being the big one. And at St. Pete, if we got any road course ringers that want to get a good finish here on the road course at the end of the year, there are still ways to move in the standings. You're not going to get the top spot. That's been clinched. But there's still ways to make this season look a lot better than maybe it started for a lot of these drivers. And today's race is an example of that. It's not where you are in the middle. It's kind of where you are at the end.
Still a long way to go, though, before this championship draws to its full conclusion. And well, before we get to all of that and more, there's still more action still yet to come here on Green Flag TV. When we go racing next, it is going to be later on this afternoon. That is going to be for the Blaze Motors ARCA Series at Mobility Resort Motegi. You will also have Talladega Week. SR was there last night. We have OMSRL, PSR, and Speed all swinging to NASCAR's biggest, baddest track on the calendar over the next few days as well. Zero Toy Racing League is at Michigan. Mid-Atlantic Racing Series is out at the National Super Speedway with the SRA Gen 4 Series next Saturday, taking a swing to the Pocono Raceway and the Tricky Triangle in the Keystone State. Once again, if you want to find out who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. A record-setting season for Tomas Mustonen here this afternoon as he takes 4 wins in a row, putting down a new record, and on top of that, he becomes the 2025 Class Indycar Series champion. But there is still more action still to come when we go racing once again. 2 weeks from now, it'll be the Sebring International Race over the modified layout, the final road course race coming on up in just a little while. We'll see you all when we go racing once again on Green Flag TV.